What is going on, guys? My name is Amos and welcome to your second video. So in this video we want to look at the difference between an assertion and a predicate. Now this is your introductory video on what is known as propositional logic. Alright, so now to distinguish between an assertion and a predicate, I'll give you guys a very simple example. Now we generally use capital letters to denote propositions. So whether it is a predicate or whether it is an assertion, we basically use capital letters to denote a certain proposition. All right. So now, let me just write this P. Let's say we have this P, and I say 8 est multiple de 2, par exemple. And if I give you a second one, I say N est multiple de 2, par exemple. So what is the difference between these two statements that I've written here? So here I can even say, all right, I will say P of N. So now the first statement that we are seeing here is what is known as an assertion. Une assertion. So this is what is known as an assertion. And then the second statement is what we are going to call a predicat. All right. So now, or the predicate, that's the second statement. So an assertion is basically a proposition where the value is going to we're going to take into consideration a specific value. Now, first of all, to any proposition, to any assertion, or to any predicate, we can actually establish whether that predicate or assertion is true or false, vrai ou faux. So that is what is going to be the most basic and the most fundamental definition of what a proposition, a predicate, and an assertion is going to be. It is just a statement, a statement which is either true or false. It cannot be both at the same time. So we have that. Now, whenever we specify a value that we're taking into consideration, it becomes an assertion. So now here we have N est multiple de 2. So here, whether this statement is true or whether this statement is true or not, it's what is going to help us to establish that is going to be the value of N that we take into consideration. All right, the value of what value of N are we talking about? So here we've not specified. It can be any N, any value N. So now, if I take into consideration, for example, the set of natural numbers, let's say numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can go on and on. All right. Can go on and on. So now I'll basically have these numbers. So if I choose 1, for example, so I'm going to say for example, 1 is a multiple of 2. Now, is 1 a multiple of 2? So that is going to be false. Now, why is it false? Because 1 is not a multiple of 2. But if I choose 2, for example, is 2 a multiple of 2? Yes, 2 is going to be a multiple of 2. So for certain values of N, the proposition is going to be true, and for certain values of N, the proposition is going to be false. So this is what we are calling a predicate. It is it is a statement that has some generalization to it with respect to the variable, to the number we are taking into consideration. So the difference between a proposition, between an assertion and a predicate, is that an assertion is a predicate whose value has been specified, the value you're taking into consideration has been specified. A predicate is a more generalized statement, where now whether the statement is true or false is going to depend on the value we are taking into consideration, like we have seen here with a set of natural numbers here. So to show that this proposition is going to depend on N, I've actually written here P of N. All right. So we can also write P of N and then N. So the second N, the second argument that we are putting here is going to represent the set where we are taking the numbers from. So this is going to be a predicate which is going to depend on 2 parameters, or on two things. The first one is going to be the number, and then the set from where that number is going to be taken. So you can be more precise than what I've written here by saying this. So this is the difference. That is the difference between an assertion and a predicate. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stop.